What is up, Wizards fans? We are back for another Believe in Wizards podcast. The Wizards won a basketball game. We were going to come in here and talk about when would they win again, but they had to throw a wrench in our outline here and go out and win a game, which I'm always happy for. Even in a tank year, I'm still happy to see wins when we can get them, especially over a team with a multiple-time MVP. So I don't know, Jahadi, were you surprised that the Denver game was the game that they actually got a win during?
That wouldn't be the game I expected them to get a win from,
Right.
but it's always those wins sometimes come from those toughest teams, right? What I'm also surprised about, Denver did not play bad.
Yeah.
They didn't play bad. It's not like they had a bad game. They had their typical good game.
Mm-hmm.
We had a better game than their typical good game.
It's amazing what making shots can do for you too in a basketball game. Like it sounds simple, but it's not something the Wizards have been doing much of, and they did that a little bit last night, and shockingly good things happened. So we'll get into it a little bit more here as we go. But as always, we're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas and BetOnline. BetOnline is your world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to live in-game betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, maybe let's just go through some of the stats here a little bit last night. Again, the Wizards win 122 to 113 over Denver. They survived 56 points and 16 rebounds and 8 assists from Nikola Jokic, and largely on the back of Jordan Poole, who was 9 of 20 from 3 last night, which is just kind of wild to think about, getting up 23 point attempts by yourself. That's 45%, so super efficient. He had 39 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. He did have 6 turnovers, but he was forcing the action and creating offense. And I think you can live with a little bit of the sloppy play here and there, when he's doing everything else so efficiently. That was the good Jordan Poole last night, Jahadi. And I think when you get, that player, you're going to win a lot of games. And they were 16 of 41 from 3, which is 39%. For this team, if you shoot slightly above league average from 3, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. And that was the one thing Denver didn't do well. They were 5 of 24 from 3, 21%. Yeah. But yeah, it's shocking how, NBA basketball works now, right? Like if you make a bunch of threes and the other team doesn't, and you defend the perimeter, you're going to do well. That's the recipe, right?
It's the recipe now. I don't know if it makes for exciting basketball.
Sure.
But it makes for high scoring games.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for, you can't trade 2s with 3s. So now if I'm hoisting up a lot of 3s and I'm having a good field goal percentage and doing it, and I'm making almost 45% of those 3s, the other team now has to. It forces the other team to hoist up just as many.
Sure.
So, but the thing is, when you go and you playing confident, you playing at first. We was playing at home. The feel of the arena. The rims. That's the place to try to for Jordan Poole to get hot. He did a good job, and he's making a lot of shots this year. He's more efficient than he ever been to me this year. Mm-hmm. So, that was really good. That's hard to stop when he's going. He's hard to stop when he gets on fire. And then you get guys that add in like Champagny.
Yep, he came in and played well.
Now he came in and played well, and that's something you can't even scout that. So now you have unscoutable players that's kicking your butt, and you're like, what can we do? And he has a somewhat Jordan Poole style game a little bit, so he can get down, he can shoot 3s. So when you having guys that you really can't scout because we have so many hurt, and you have a lot of players that can play that just haven't played. Yep. It's good. And then you have the 2-man game now with Valaciunas that you can't do. It's just an undeniable 2-man game.
He's just so hard to get around. That's just a big dude, and he'll make you pay on the other end if you don't kind of equally account for him.
Yeah. Well, he helps us if we move, he helps us slow the game down and helps us create so many options just by making sure he get a touch every time down the court. It's not a paint touch. Usually it's like at the nail touch. If he gets a touch anywhere from that nail, top of the key, now it all automatically opens up a lot of offensive looks for us.
I was having this conversation with some buddies the other day about just the pace of this team and their general premise that like a lot of pace is a good thing. And in like college basketball specifically, the sort of predominant theory is if you have less talent, you should try to limit the amount of possessions. Like the more possessions there are, the more opportunities there are for the more talented team to display how much more talent they have. And so for the Wizards, I'm thinking like, hey, if I've just been getting the doors beat off of me for a month straight, playing at this breakneck speed, why don't I try slowing it down and limiting the amount of possessions and just, see if that changes anything for them. And they still got up to 120 points last night. So it's not like they were playing at a glacial pace, but they felt more deliberate. And I think that's probably a result of having Valanciunas out there for a decent amount of minutes. Like you can't play crazy fast with him on the floor, but they were just sort of more intentional with some of their offensive sets, it felt like. And it wasn't this race down the court to shoot the first three available. There was a little bit more of just like, let's make the defense work. Let's hold them accountable and then kind of bail them out. And I thought that actually led to some better threes as well when they got a few more breakdowns on the defensive end too.
I think with us, it came down to more efficient possessions. Right. So, and anytime Valanciunas on the floor, you notice we have way more efficient possessions. It just happens. Only person I truly, and we get into that I truly believe that Valanciunas on the floor kind of hurts is Coulibaly.
Okay.
But outside of that, those quick guards, those guards that can spread the floor, guards that can, cut, wing cut, dive cut, corner cut, right? One more connector passes. That's if you take Valanciunas out of that scenario, none of that can happen. Not as efficient. So what I see now is we're getting more efficient possessions, and still Jordan Poole gets to be Jordan Poole, but now he's Jordan Poole 2.0. Right. So now we can put up a lot more shots and a lot more points.
But we never see like a Jordan Poole, Alex Sarr 2-man game. And it's maybe because they just use Sarr exclusively as a pop guy but when he's out there Poole with Valanciunas, like Valanciunas is doing it slowly, but he'll still roll to the hoop and he'll like catch you with the big screen and he'll drag and you're like, oh, okay. Like it just, there's more gravity with him actually operating in the middle of the court, I think. And then last night without Sarr and without Keyshawn George, like honestly, without Kuzma, who have been bricks from three, like you played some of your air quotes, like lesser talented players, but they're guys that can hit and knock down open shots. And shockingly, that's another good blueprint for winning basketball. Have somebody draw some attention in the middle of the court and then spread the ball around them with guys who are going to competently make some threes. And I'm going to give us a little credit for like just continually saying play Jared Butler, because good things will happen when you play Jared Butler. And last night he was 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, had 2 rebounds, 4 assists, only 2 turnovers, had 12 points, and was just like very solid. And there's something to just like go out there and just be solid. Champagnie was just pretty solid. Like he was another guy that shot really efficiently, 9 of 13, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, had 23 points. But like you had to respect his shooting. Whereas if I've seen the Wizards this year, I'm going to let Sarr take as many threes as he wants to take right now. I'm going to let Keyshawn take as many threes as he wants to take right now. And if they beat me doing that, like so be it. But the percentages say like you can live with those guys taking as many wide open threes as they want just because they haven't been able to hit them so far.
Yeah, because what happens is you don't need a guy to be amazing.
Yep.
You need a guy to be able to do 2 things: move without the ball and be able to shoot.
Yep.
Right. The thing is, you can't, if you take Valanciunas out of that scenario, like I was saying, you put Bagley in there, you put Sarr in there, you put Gill in there. and you tell them to do what Valanciunas did, you won't get it.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So, we're not looking at how special Valanciunas we are, but we're not looking at it. He's not just a big. He's pretty much a point guard thinking big, without bringing the ball up. Right.
He's an underrated passer for sure. Has never gotten enough credit for that.
He's a passer. He's a passer. He's a creator, right? He's a space creator. He's a seam creator. He sees seams. So what happened? And if you notice, a lot of the bigs, a lot of the points, just play off of him constantly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll drive to the basket instead of kicking it out. They kick it back to Valanciunas at the nail.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing most likely is not for him to take a shot, but for him to now be able to see an open or now someone else gets to cut, right? And you don't usually see that with a big, right? Mm-hmm. You see it with Jokic, you see it with Valanciunas. Sometimes you see it with Bam, but that's about it.
Yeah, so, I agree.
Yeah, that's about it. So like you said, I don't see Sarr doing that. He should do that more. He can't.
I think he's been a good short roll passer, but it just the fact that he's no threat anywhere. It's not a threat from three because he's not making them, but he's not a threat anywhere offensively right now.
He doesn't think that way.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't think that way. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he should be much more of a threat, but I just see him as a 3-point shooter.
Right. That's how they've exclusively used him. And I think that's a real disservice to him long term.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, I think your freshman year, your first year, your rookie year, mm-hmm. you have to be able to figure a lot of things out. And just him standing behind the perimeter at his size, he's not solving any problems.
Yeah, it lets him off the hook. We talked about letting the defense off the hook, but it's letting him off the hook. Work harder, try to problem solve, get an advantage. When I could just stand here and clank 3 after 3 with no consequences, what am I learning from that as a young player?
You don't solve problems, you can't get solutions.
Exactly.
Yep. So
it's a great way to look at it.
And that's the thing with, at the end of the day, after his rookie year, he needs to be going to his second season or this summer mm-hmm. with a lot of solutions that now he can say, let me take all the solutions I have and let me find ways to counter on those solutions.
Yeah.
But if you're not going after your rookie year and you're going to go, what is he going to build on?
He has to clean up the shooting mechanics. He's got to be able to hit threes for them to get the best version of this team. I'm all for that, but I don't want their lesson from this year to be, well, we just have to fix his 3-point shot. The lesson should be, what do I do when that isn't working? And if you ask him that right now, I don't think you'd get an answer. What's he going to tell you? Because we haven't seen him try whatever.
We haven't seen him play off the ball
at all. I mean, it's just him standing around, waiting
for hopefully they kick out.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with Coulibaly. That's what he's doing now. Standing around waiting for a kick out. And that's why his numbers are down. Mm-hmm. The numbers are down because he used to be able to be more on the wing. He used to be where he can create or he can get down here. When you're right there in that corner, that short corner, mm-hmm. nothing you can do but wait for a kick out. Right? You only can drive left or right, wherever
only
corner
right.
you are in.
Yeah.
So, and that's really, and it's not, you don't have a lot of options. And so we're like, what's wrong with Bilal's numbers? Mm-hmm. He's standing in the short corner.
Yep. We talked about this a lot with Denny, where a couple of years he was not shooting particularly well, so he couldn't actually drive as efficiently because no one was respecting the jumper, and he was only going right. And once he kind of cleaned up the jump shot, he still didn't go left super well, but he got to that point where it was enough of a threat and the shooting was good that you had to stay up on him. For Coulibaly, I think there was some amount he had that really good stretch and then guys realized he could only go right. So they've kind of played him that way. He's also not shooting well enough, but I think the difference between him and Denny in that situation is he's more dynamic, more explosive. Like it's just hard, even if you know a guy can only go right, when he's long and athletic and has a good quick first step, it's still really hard to guard. And I'd rather see him put pressure on people and at least try it. And if they cut you off, you've still maybe collapsed the defense a little bit or gotten a little further along in the possession. For him, it's like, well, they've got the answer here, to the question I'm going to ask them. So I'm not even going to try to ask it. And I think it's a mindset thing. It's the same thing with Sarr. Like they're not pushing him to go out and work through it. Coulibaly, they're also seemingly letting off the hook of like, well, I don't really have enough of a bag or a move, and they're kind of sagging off of me. Oh well. And I don't like anything about how either of those guys are being handled. And I don't know if that's like, hey, you guys figure it out for yourself. We're not gonna like help you work through it, or they are and they're just not executing. I'm not sure what the case is, but the play of both of those guys is concerning to me.
Well, it is concerning, especially if they're your starters.
Right. Yeah.
They're your starters. Thing is when I play, sometimes the coaching staff gets so involved in the wins and losses and schemes and what we're trying to do and what we need to do as a team that they can't forget about the individual sometimes.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know if that's the case because now it's way more coaches on the bench than there used to be. I mean, it's
that would
like
be
3 roles
concerning
now.
on a tanking team that's supposed to be focused on player development. Like that would be a bad news story if they're losing, the forest through the trees or whatever the case may be with Coulibaly.
Right. Because as soon as I saw 2 games and watched that Coulibaly, Bilal, they're not letting you go right. They're taking it away. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get in the gym. I'm going to get one of these younger guys, that don't get much playing time. And you're going to play one-on-one or all your normal scoring position that you used to have the ball. And I'm not going to let him let you go right.
Yep.
Let's figure this out.
Yep.
All right. Let's figure this out. And we're going to do this every day. Right. I'm going to take away all the things that you normally get to do. Right. And now we get to dissect. Okay. All right. Now you're going left. Okay. Well, your left is too slow. How do you get back right when you need to? Do you Euro or whatever? But that's the thing. It seemed like no one's saying, all right, this has just got taken away from you, which means it got taken away from us as a team. They're taking this away. And now, because he can go in the gym all day and say, oh, they're taking away my right hand. Let me try to figure out something.
Yep.
But, if you had those player development guys there, that's something where we have to set up some type of regimen to be able to get you to the point to where you can start using your left or getting downhill left or, another way to, faking left and then somehow getting back to your right. We need to give you 3 to 4 options. Right. And it's not overnight, but okay, now we're working on that.
Yep.
Alex, we got to work on you moving without the ball. We have to work on you not only moving out the ball, moving in positions where we can use your height and be effective, with some drops.
Drive off the guys.
Yeah. Right. Quick drops, quick dumps, quick elbow jumpers, whatever, pump fakes, pump and goes. Right. We have to now put a lot of situations like not in the game, but we have to create those situations on the practice floor. Before practice, after practice, whatever.
It should be the primary focus of this year, especially for those 2 guys. I mean, like, I think with like someone like Bub, you know what you're going to do and how you're going to use him. He's just got to make the shots, right? Like the moves are there. Like he's got the handle. He can get to the things you want him to do. You want him to get into the paint more and things like that. But for the most part, like you don't have to build the offense up the same way you have to with both of these guys. And so for them, I'm with you. Like a couple years ago, there was a lot of like coverage of Kyle Kuzma getting like sort of a one-on-one club going after practice. And it was Kuzma and Denny and Danilo Gallinari, like who was slow, but on a one-on-one setting, he was skill and crafty and like guys learned things. And, that's not a thing you hear about anymore. And I don't know if that's because it's not happening or it's just the organization is doing like their weird media blackout of like, we only emphasize the good things, so we don't even talk about stuff like this because it may allude to things we have to work on. But I don't know, like it could be a thing they're doing. It could not be. Either way, it seems like a thing you would want to talk about because it would be so valuable. And like I think of the episode, like Larry and I did one early on with Gilbert Arenas, and Gilbert said like the single best thing for his offensive game was playing one-on-one every day after practice with Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if I can score on this dude, I can score on anybody in the league. And I couldn't at the beginning. And I figured out what worked, and I got little tricks, and here's how I countered.
Yeah,
exactly. And
problem solving.
100%.
And that's basketball.
Yep.
In itself, that's pretty much what we talked about so far this entire podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We don't feel like they're getting the option to problem solve on their off time, like on outside of practice or during practice, because you would eventually see tidbits.
Right.
Yeah,
and one counter all of a sudden. Now there's two counters all of a sudden, and like things like that. But there's no development whatsoever.
Right. And I'm not saying they aren't. I'm saying that we don't see it.
We don't see them. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And guys, the problem is when you on that starting five, you're on that scouting report.
Yeah.
So whoever they say, okay, this today you have Bilal. This is what he does. Take away this, don't let him go there, and that's it. They're going to tell you.
Yeah. Do this, and he'll just give up. Like he'll just stand there the whole rest of the game. Like,
so as a player, you have to know, okay, what could be on that scout report.
Yeah.
Now on the court, what are they do? What are they stopping me from doing?
Yeah, have one of your assistants scout your own players and give them that handout of like, this is what I'm doing to stop you every time. And you have one of the guys, David Vanderpool.
Go get a player development and say, hey, look at this scout report.
Yeah. How do you address
it? You to help me counter all of these things.
Yeah. I love that. Honestly, like if it's not happening, they're not doing their job. Like it's really that simple. And like there was a lot of like, well, Brian Keefe, he's a bum. We saw last night this offense has generated open shots, and some of it I wondered was by defense, is it designed where like the guys getting open shots are the ones we're willing to shoot or not, but they're running enough to get good looks. Like they're running the same shit everybody else is running. It's not like some super creative thing, but when they had guys in position to actually make some of those shots, you saw them win a game. And now, like you said, those guys will get scouted and people will figure out their counters if they play more games. But it's not like a total failure of them running an offense. Like it's the same stuff that works for everybody else in the league. But it's can guys execute and have plan Bs and have counters? Like you can't just run, here's the offense that we run. It's got to be designed to put these guys in situations that they can actually capitalize on. And if your offense just end up with a lot of open threes for guys who can't make threes, you're going to keep losing those games. So I'm with you, like adapt or die. And so far they've been content to just die. And it's not fun to see.
What was crazy to me is this season, I'm seeing our offense have more fluid movement and motion and being more fluid and having more scoring opportunities and countering on more scoring opportunities than I ever seen before.
Yep.
I'm seeing it.
It's not converting.
I'm seeing it more when Kuzma isn't in the game.
I agree.
Right. I'm seeing it more when Kuzma isn't in the game. But I'm seeing so many more. So I don't feel like it's really our offense.
Yeah, I agree. I just
feel like we're just giving up too much on the defensive end. To the point where I don't feel like we're competing truly on the defensive end. We're truly competing. We're just trying to say, hey, let's run this game. And what I see is they see the offense working for them. Just like I see it, I see that the players see it.
Yeah. They're not capitalizing on what the offense creates, but it's creating stuff, right?
Yeah, it's creating stuff, right? So I feel like we're getting to a level in one spot I see improvement now. Now the losses is just ridiculous, but I see improvement in like actually enjoying the offense.
Mhm.
Actually seeing guys being able to get a lot of like guys like uh Bub.
Mhm.
I'm seeing him understand how to really play off JV.
Yeah.
Brogdon, woo,
It's been good.
Brogdon and JV
Mhm.
together, their 2-man game is like an IQ off.
Yeah, it's like slow-mo, but you can't
Man,
guard it. Yeah.
I love that 2-man game because,
I'm with you.
like, now you thought you saw it with Poole and you thought you saw it with Carrington,
Mhm.
but when Brogdon came out there and
Yeah.
really
You can
showed,
feel the
oh,
ESP between those two guys,
oh
right? Like
man, it
it's
was like a kinetic energy,
mhm.
mental telepathy, just going back and forth. And I was like, and like you said, it wasn't sped up. It was slow. It was reading. It was taking your time.
Mhm.
And I mean, so it seemed like Brogdon was just sitting over there watching JV. He was like, oh, hold on, I know how to play.
I can
Oh,
do this. I can do
that's an
that. Yeah.
option right there. Oh, he was just sitting there breaking it all down in his head. So when I
Mhm.
get in there and he showed the world, he showed it like, hey, this is what I can do
Yep.
with JV.
You mentioned Bub. He was 4 of 13 last night, 2 of 8 from 3. I thought he settled for a couple threes here and there, but tried to do other stuff, had 4 rebounds, had 6 assists, had no turnovers. I thought it was like a clean game overall. I thought he tried to present resistance defensively. Like, still a rookie, he's gonna get beat a couple plays pretty bad, but for the most part, like, the effort was there, and just the shot making will come at some point, but I thought you could live with more of the shots he
You're
was
not gonna
getting.
ever have to question Bub's effort,
Yeah.
you know. And his game is not something that you have to say like we're doing like with Sarr or Bilal.
Mhm.
It's not something where you say, okay, let me figure this out, or because he gets where he wants to go. It's more of him just going through the toil, like
Mhm.
going through all the getting the bumps and the bruises and having to now be more sound.
Mhm.
He's just something where you're like, all right, let's kind of compact you and get you more sound. You
Yeah.
know, let's get you a nice package to where he's still a little raw.
Yeah, you polish it. You polish what's there, right?
Yeah, he's raw, and that's just all that is with him is just rawness.
Mhm. Uh, let's go back to Coulibaly here for a minute because I think this is the big question on Wizards fans' mind. Like with the rookies, you can excuse a little bit of it as rookies, but uh, let me just read off Coulibaly's last 5 stat lines here for you. So last night he was 2 of 9, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. Like he did stuff defensively. The defense isn't a question. It's the offense, right? He had 6 points. The night or 2 nights before that against Dallas, he was 0 for 10. Had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. So again, still doing a lot. Turned the ball over a lot that game, 4 turnovers. Finished with 4 points. The game before that against Cleveland, 1 of 7 for 6 points. The game before that, 2 of 8 for 4 points. The game before that, 1 for 6, 3 points. Uh, it just he looks totally, completely out of sorts. And Jahai, I think just from like the other players on the team, when you see that, right? Like this is clearly a guy the organization feels is a cornerstone of the franchise long term. If you're a vet on this team, do you feel a responsibility to like try to help him like get other looks and like it doesn't seem like there's much effort being made to like force feed him into a couple easy looks here and there yet. So I'm wondering, like, again, Poole's been a lot better this year, especially offensively, but not still like a pure create easy baskets for other people point guard. Like, it almost feels like Coulibaly would benefit from somebody on the second unit, like spoon feeding him a little bit more, like a more pure point guard type, like maybe more minutes with Jared Butler or Brogdon or somebody off the bench that would be focused more on how do we get Bilal going? Because it just he doesn't seem to want to take it onto himself to like break the offense and go take advantage of some of this stuff. But I keep going back to the game when they played Milwaukee and he had Dame Lillard guard him for large stretches of the game and like never went at him. And like everyone in the league goes at Lillard right now because he can't guard anyone anymore. But Coulibaly was just content to hang there. So, like, what do you do if you're playing with him to get him going?
So with Coulibaly first, you got to realize that Coulibaly never has been a prominent top dog, top scorer.
The man on, yeah.
That's not his mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
It's naturally not his mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, you kind of, what you know is he has the potential to be.
Yeah, I think so.
He has all the attributes to be, has the abilities to be, right?
Yeah.
But that's naturally not or ever have been him. So beginning of this year, you saw a guy said, let me take that on. Right. And he started doing better with it. Start playing out of his natural mindset or what he was kind of feel like he was already kind of programmed. Right. Oh, I can do this. I can do that. He did it. And he understood that was what was going to be expected of him this year.
Yep.
I feel like once Valanciunas, once that Valanciunas thing kind of really, really progressed to the point that we knew, okay, we're going to run everything through JV. It took away his natural opportunities that he had, that he was scoring a lot.
Okay. Is that just taking up space in the middle of the floor?
No, because now when you're playing that 2-game, when you're playing that 2-game, that 2-game usually is a back and forth game.
Okay.
Right. And usually it very seldomly goes below the wing.
Okay.
Right. So now you're saying, so now he's not getting a lot. So he's not getting as many natural touches and natural playing touches with the ball just at all. Right. Usually he was on the wing. He just touching the ball, just getting the feel of the ball. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Now I get in the rhythm because I need to just feel the ball in my hands. I get to make some decisions with the ball. I can pass here, do this. Okay. So now even on his bad games, right? You said he was 0 for 10, something for 8, something for 6 or something for 7. The most shots he took basically out of all that was 10 shots.
Yeah. And that was his worst game and worst shot selection game.
You're not taking any shots.
Yeah.
Not for him. He should at least be taking 20 shots.
I would like to see a minimum double digits every single game.
But he was at first.
Yeah.
See, he was taking those shots at first, right? Yep. So it's more now. I'm not taking my shots. I have. They push me to the corner, right? And now I'm on the short corner, right? So now I'm questioning all of my shots. So now my 3-pointer that I'm it's the only thing I'm really truly getting now, other than something I can force to create, rebound or blowout or something like fast break point. I'm questioning that. So now I'm shooting to make the shot instead of shooting my natural shot.
Yep.
Right. So now you can look at shooting it to wheel a shot in. I'm shooting. I'm focusing on my mechanics. All right.
I'm only going to get 4 looks. I have to make the 4. I'm going to get.
So now I'm not even natural.
Yeah.
That's the player I'm seeing. So, and it's all because of how the offense is flowing without him. I think he will be just as good on the wing.
But like, if it's Valanciunas and then running 2-man game with him and Poole, still only playing 20 minutes a game. Like, play them, stagger them. Then, if that doesn't work for you, there's opportunities where when Coulibaly's in there with the bench unit, okay, let's run everything through him. Then, like, just when Kuzma was out kind of early in the season, you saw Coulibaly like, okay, I'm the number 2 guy here. Let's create some looks. Like, so you could manufacture that. Like, just games 2 through 8 here. Game 2, 16 shot attempts, 23 points. Game 3, 12 shot attempts, 17 points. Game 4, 14 shot attempts, 27 points. Game 5, 12 shot attempts, 22 points. Like, he had that run and they created those looks for him as kind of that wing creator, wing scorer. Do that now. Like, still find minutes when those other guys aren't in to prioritize.
But he had better shot attempts.
Yeah, I agree. So, but how do you manufacture those good attempts for him then? Like,
He's out of position.
It's him. It's the coaches. It's his teammates. Like
he's playing out of position.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care who the player is. If you're not a sniper,
putting you in the corner doesn't do anything good.
Corner.
Yeah. Right.
That's like Sarr plays in the short corner.
Yeah. Kispert,
like you. It's so that's a what type of that's a
like a 3-and-D,
That's a 3-and-D guy, right? Yeah. So you got to get these guys in positions where they can move, where they can have a lot of freedom, do a lot of different things, right? And that's the thing is just I feel like we're putting some of the best players or some of our future players that we can actually have here to grow. They're just not being able to solve problems and create solutions because they're in the short corner. He was doing good. Like you said, when he was averaging over 14, 15 shots attempts, he was in double figures.
Yep. Yeah, 2 career highs and back-to-back nights.
Like 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And not even good attempts.
No. 10 games in, we were like, could this guy be the most improved player? Like there were at least would have been a name you would throw out.
And that's his mentality. Yeah. His mentality is automatically he's not a go get a score. And you saying, well, you can be a go get a score. And we see it. We see it clearly. Yeah. Just like we see it clearly. But if you take the options and the positioning in a way to be able to do that, it's going to be tough for him.
So I guess why are they doing that though, right? Like this is clearly a lost year.
Two-man game. It's the 2-man game is working with Valaciunas.
But it isn't though, right? Like they're the worst offense in the league. They're losing games by 25 points.
But that's what they're going with.
I know, but why? Like that, like that's
because it looked kind of fluid to me. It's the best. It's the best thing we. It's the best thing we had so far.
Is it though? Like I mean. They won again. It was a shorthanded Atlanta team, but they won 2 of those games where they featured Coulibaly heavily, and he was efficient offensively, and more guys got involved. And you're a historically bad offensive team right now. They're averaging 107-ish points a game. It's 28th in the league. They're giving up 123 points a game. That's 30th in the league. Their offensive rating is 104. It's 30th in the league. Their defensive rating, also 120th, 30th in the league. So, like Poole and JV eat when they're out there together running a 2-man game. But you also get cooked defensively when those 2 guys play 25 minutes and no one else is involved. So your offense is still shit overall. So it's like, those 2.
We don't have a natural penetrating pitch guy. The best one we have is Poole.
No one gets paint touches on this team. Like literally.
Right. So if we can't get paint touches, if we don't get paint touches, which you have to get paint touches to make the defenses move. Yep. You got to make them collapse, right? We all know that. So then Valaciunas is our paint touch. All right, because now they have to collapse on him, right? But also it takes away highways. You know what I'm saying? Other than the highways, he creates himself.
Right. Cuts off certain parts of the court to other people.
Right. So Coulibaly now don't have a highway.
There's nowhere for me to go. I drive and I run into a big dude with a big dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that's what's frustrated me. We're losing games. I don't care. Like, make the young guys work on their game, solve those problems we're talking about, and just not get rolled and have the game not immediately look over 15 minutes into the game every night. Like, I can't keep watching games where they're down 30 at halftime and things like that. And just they look uncompetitive because certain guys are now starting to look more disinterested. And credit to Coulibaly, like sometimes when guys are no longer involved in the offense, they check out defensively. I think he's still been great on that end. You heard Luka talk after the game about he's like answering questions. So I give him credit for that. But I think before getting injured this time, Keyshawn George, the defense had come down a little bit. I thought Bub was not quite as offering quite as much resistance as he was those first couple games. So like at some point, like dudes start to check out, and this is not I'm sure the Jordan Poole fans are going to say that's not what I'm saying. I actually thought Poole and the young guys together with a spaced floor looked better offensively to me. I thought the ball moved around the perimeter more. They still aren't making shots, and that's going to continue to be a problem with playing these young guys. But like, I don't care. Like, it's just if you lose, you lose. This has a chance to be a historically bad season for a historically bad team.
Yeah.
So you better get as much out of it for the long run as you can. And that's, did my young guys get better? Like, you know what? I maximized Valanciunas and I got 3 second-round picks for him instead of 2. Ultimately does not matter in the grand scheme of the rebuild of this franchise. So if it comes at the expense of, did I use Coulibaly effectively? Did Coulibaly grow as a player? You know, like they're doing themselves a long-term disservice if this goes on beyond like end of December. Like, trade these guys, move it on, and like get back to doing what was working for you for at least a 10-game stretch there.
Well, to me, that's what you do with the young guys. Mm-hmm. I think right now you try to figure out, okay, these young guys are helping us get over the hump. We're winning games because, you know, they're unscoutable, and now we get to see what they are players. They can play.
Yeah.
You know,
Champagny looked good. Butler looked good. I mean, those are people.
But the option you offer is great. Go back. All it is going to say, go back to what we were doing. But you can't do that with Valanciunas on the floor.
Yeah.
That's it. You just can't. So if Valanciunas is on the floor, he's like a big magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big magnet that most of the offensive players like. Because why? I'm gonna either get an assist or I'm gonna get the ball back and I can score more.
He's good for the guards. I think if you're a wing or a forward, though, are you enjoying that quite as much? No. Probably not.
No.
So
that's why you got guards now scoring, 40 points.
Yeah, Poole's going nuts. Brogdon's been really efficient. Like he's great for them to play next to. And again, if you're a Valanciunas fan listening to this, like, I'm not slamming Valanciunas. It's not him as a player. It's roster construction and what are your priorities. And he's been good, but it hasn't led to anything. So why worry about that being a focal point if it doesn't help you with what your real objectives are here? So to me, I would be looking to continue to like have him showcased like this and have games like last night, and I'd immediately be working the phones. That is some of the reporting. You had Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype talk about Kuzma's probably on the block here, and they're getting calls from executives around the league because he doesn't fit their long-term timeline. That Valanciunas is a player that they're probably getting calls about. There were some rumors that Malcolm Brogdon is a guy that playoff caliber teams are looking at. Him continually being out with some ache or pain is not going to help that. He has an expiring contract which helps you, but what you're getting back for him, some team is not going to pay a lot to rent a $22 million a year guy that's injury prone. Right. So you have to take a lot of salary back. So you're getting a bad contract with it no matter what. And are you really getting much, in terms of like draft pick compensation to do it? Probably not. So it's more likely you're rehabbing a young player on a bad contract with multiple years, and then you might be stuck with that guy. So is that even worth a trade? So Valanciunas is probably the guy, but if I'm every team in the NBA, I know what Valanciunas is. Me getting him 26 and 18, it doesn't change what I perceive him as. So what they're going to get now is not going to be drastically different than what they're going to get, in February. And you just run the risk of playing a big dude, big minutes after 30 years old. What if he gets hurt now? Now you get no trade value from him. Yeah. Like I would be working the phones every day after every game about, Valanciunas looking pretty good right now. Like, and it's not a slight on him, but it's just.
Well, they say there's a lot of interest for Valanciunas right now.
Yeah,
like,
which is great.
Creating a lot of interest for himself right now,
which is awesome.
I think, if you do get rid of that though, you're going to have to get somebody here that's going to be a penetrate guy. Like that's going to be a Jason Tatum type, which means is that's going to have to creates so much attention.
Yeah, who's the magnet? Yeah.
Who's a magnet? You need a magnet.
Yeah.
It's a magnet who can go in the paint and they can just, everybody has to respect it to the point that now we can move that ball again.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll be right back where we started.
That Dallas game, they decided to start Marvin Bagley, and he was 7 of 11, had 16 points, 8 rebounds, and they got absolutely cooked in the game overall. But I thought he played hard in those 24 minutes. And in the Denver game last night, he was 0 for 1 in 16 minutes for 4 points. So it went back, like, he actually played well. For me, I assume if a guy's totally out of the rotation and they magically start, one, it's either you got to call about him and you're going to try to trade him, or two, he had like a couple really good practices in a row. And it's like, hey, we're going to reward that guy for playing hard. So he goes out, he plays, and he plays well. And then the next game, it's sort of back to like totally irrelevant again. I just don't know.
It makes sense to me. I was wondering, was it an injury? What's going on? Why did he start?
Right.
Why did he get good prominent minutes? And then he played well, and then he's out. Because the difference between with Bagley is when he touched the ball, he's trying to score. Right? And nobody, he's the only guy who touched the ball other than Valaciunas, but Valaciunas is more slower, try to look around. Bagley, I'm touching it, I'm trying to be tough, I'm being aggressive, I'm going to the rack.
Quick at the rim, yeah.
Yeah, quick at the rim. And that's the only guy we have like that. Right? So he showed you, okay, that's what I do. You knew that's what I did. I showed you I did that before, and then we right back where we started.
That one was weird to me, and I thought like if he had the one good game, they were immediately going to work the phones or something. Like I thought there was something cooking there that when he just sort of showed up again out of nowhere. But going back to it, like irrelevance here is just sort of weird. Bobby Marks from ESPN also mentioned Valanciunas being a key guy through the Lakers out there again. Suggested Gabe Vincent of the Lakers and maybe some second round picks. Just. At some point, like it's nice to hear they've got interest. It's nice to I assume that means that they are also working the phones. I want to see them pull the trigger on some guys. Like that's been one of the few nits you can pick about this front office is not taking advantage of these veteran guys and turning them into anything thus far. The only picks they've gotten were for young guys like, Gafford and Avdia. Like let's finally convert one of these older guys we turned in, we signed to trade into actual trade assets.
Yeah. I've been waiting for them to be successful with doing that too, because obviously that's their game plan. Right. You can see that's their game. If that's your game plan, let me see how it works. And I don't know if that's the strategy to go with. Because the probably only successful process that we might see with that happening is JV. But
I think he's the only one.
Yeah. Other than that,
unless Kuzma can get healthy and look good enough to actually flip. And
that's
the only other one.
Yeah.
Wizards play again. If you're listening to this on Sunday, they play tonight against Memphis at 7 p.m. And then they're off for a little bit there until Friday against Cleveland. So that'll be nice for them to maybe get a little healthier there. Guys, one last thing I want to ask you about here too. Just running it back to our old guys saying hater shit segment. Gilbert Arenas back in the news here.
We need to call that segment.
Yeah, it's
old guys saying hater shit.
It's just there's always something.
OGSH8. OGSHS. What's that? Old guys saying hater shit.
Yeah, we'll have to have like a graphic made that I can flash up here when we get to that.
Yeah.
You talked about your former teammate, Kwame Brown, and he said Kwame Brown's problem wasn't that he didn't have skill. His problem was that he didn't want to do nothing. You played with Kwame. He didn't strike me as a lazy guy. He struck me as a guy whose confidence was crushed and, he didn't know what his role was. So I don't know. How do you feel hearing that comment?
Kwame, you have to learn how to navigate the NBA. Right? You have to learn that, okay, during the off season, I need to find a trainer, somebody that understands the NBA, somebody who's trained in the NBA, Oh, these guys are training over here. This guy's good. I can't go back home and train because there's no caliber training like that for me at home. Possibly. Let me go. So there's your summer times. It's a lot of figuring out. Okay, let me go to Atlanta for the first 4 weeks, 5 weeks, get my body right. Let me get these recovery. Now I need to go to LA, right? Because now there's
pickup games or whatever.
Pickup games, or I need to work on something or my nutrition, and I need to work on my game at the same time. Okay, then now let me go to Vegas because now the other trainer is over there that works with my all these things, and it's never in the same place.
It's a full-time business that you got to commit to,
right? Right. So if he doesn't understand that coming in, and no one's showing him that, he's just going to do what he's been known to do. Like, okay, let me go back home and work with my college coach, my high school coach. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's gonna do. So it don't mean that he didn't want to work. He didn't know the blueprint. No one passed him the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if you don't really understand that blueprint early, like you do it your way. So I don't agree that he didn't want to work. Could he have worked more?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't know. Gilbert don't know what he was doing in the off season.
Just also before Gilbert got there too, right?
Right now we don't. Now only thing we can rate that on is if he stayed out to practice more and get shots up, or he got a few up and was out of here. You know, and I know the answer to that one, but it is what it is. Yeah. You know, so. But we don't know what he was doing in the offseason. I just know he would go back to Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that area where he's small town in Georgia.
Right. It's not a basketball hotbed for
it's just not gonna have the best of the best to get you to the next level. It's not, it's just not.
Playing pickup with your normal sized friends and stuff. You know,
you outgrow things. That got you good enough to get in the NBA.
Right.
Now you have to say, okay, what's good enough to have me to be able to be a good player in the NBA? And then you outgrow things. I mean, even the best players switch trainers.
Yeah. Yeah, you go learn from different guys and pick up different skill sets. And
I mean, if you come to me as a player, and I give you everything I got in my bag, eventually I'm gonna have to go learn some new stuff. I'm ready to play that movie all over again to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So now I got to go somewhere where it's a new movie.
Yeah, I might be able to help you kind of keep things tight over the summer and things like that. But if you want to grow your game, you gotta learn from other people. I think that was sort of a recurring theme we heard from some of those Wizards teams. It's just that maybe the person development piece of it wasn't as prioritized, of just like Kwame was clearly a guy that felt a little bit like a fish out of water where he ended up, maybe a little overwhelmed, or just seemed like he didn't fit in. Right. And that, I think part of that is I'm in a hurry to go back home after the season ends. And it's not like you're going to downtown Atlanta and working with other NBA players.
But did anyone say, hey, look, this is how you do it in the summertime.
Yeah.
Come here to meet me in this, meet me here, right?
Yep. Who's putting the arm around him and
saying about a guy all day, but if he doesn't know. Hey, look, you got to meet me here. Now, if he said, okay, fine, but if you say, nah, I'm good, it's Georgia, then you're like, all right, you don't want
it. And that's a question I would have liked somebody on that podcast with Gil to follow up on. We know Gil worked, right? I mean, he was a goofball,
Did you offer him to join you?
Exactly. Come stay with me for 2 weeks and we'll, work on this together like that. Did you do your job as a leader?
Yeah. If I wouldn't have understood or knew about any of it if I didn't sit to, Tyronn Lue, like, nah, this is what we do in the summertime. So-and-so, give him a call. This is the trainer.
Yeah.
This is the trainer we work with. Blah, blah, blah. I go down there, he got big station with all the bigs working in the one station. Got the and everybody's down there. I'm like, oh, so this is how it works.
Yeah.
But before I would go back to St. Louis.
Right, exactly. Play with the guys you know, or high school coach and stuff, and
I was like, oh, it's levels.
yeah.
And you like if no one opened that avenue to you, you might just go not ever knowing.
And at least for you too, like if you'd have gone back to Georgetown for a couple weeks, then there's some summer runs and stuff. Probably
True.
not the way there
I'll
are
do
now,
that.
but Kwame, no college to go back to. You're defaulting to high school, and those guys aren't still around, and nobody there could push you. Like that's where not going to Florida or wherever he was going to go for a year. I
And
think
I
hurt
switched
him
it
a
up. I
lot.
would go with Zoe. I go to Miami with Zoe probably toward the end, right before season start, because that's the toughest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go, middle, go to Georgetown. So it was so many things that you put together.
Yeah.
Then you always have your personal trainer that's just there for you, not for anybody else.
Sure.
So that's the guy who comes to your house, has a key, and knocks on your bedroom door.
Right. It's time to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it's so many things you need.
Yeah. Did he probably do everything he needed to do to maximize? Doesn't sound like maybe
Probably
he did,
not.
but
Most likely not. But most don't.
right. Exactly. That's the thing. And I think if he doesn't, that's also a failure on the organization. Like there were plenty of teams where when a guy got drafted, especially number 1, number 2, or number 3, like they gave them like, here is your full-time, basically your coach, right? Like here's your guy following you around. He's your body man, essentially. He's making sure you do professional things. He's keeping you out. Like that should have been a major investment from the Wizards organization that, hey, we will fill this team with vets that will give a shit. Not a coach that's combative with them or an old guy vet that's going to push him. Like somebody should have been the arm around guy. And so it's an equal failure from the organization from my perspective.
Show them the ropes, but that don't come from the organization. You can't expect that from them. It just don't.
Yeah.
Come from your teammates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then the people they brought in there.
And your relationships with other players.
Yeah.
In general.
Sure. I don't know. That one was an unfriendly trip down memory lane, I think, a little bit there too, because there's a lot of what if with the whole Kwame thing. Like if that plays out differently, maybe the org was in a slightly different place.
Yeah.
All right, John, I think that's all I got for you. Anything on your end here?
I'm good, my man.
All right. Hopefully we have a few more Wizards wins to talk about before the end of the year gets out here. And like we said, the Wizards play.
Did we do any sponsors?
BetOnline. Always presented by BetOnline. Yep.
All right.
Good call. Yep. Go play some bets. See if you want to bet on a Wizards win streak. Maybe there's some good money you can get on that for them going back-to-back wins here. Cool. All right. Thanks, Jahadi. Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate everybody checking in on the Sunday. Go Wizards. We're presented by betonline.ag. Like, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. And we will catch y'all next time.